And so to kick it off, I'd like to say, Moritz, Bernhard, you guys have just, your contributions were fantastic. Thank you so much. And so it's, I think we've got a lot of great material in from you guys that we can talk through. And I put you guys up on the paper as contributing authors, given that you guys dropped in some really great stuff, and it seemed appropriate that you guys be listed as full authors on the paper because of that. So why don't I share my screen and we can kick this off, and I'll be kind of like the screen share driver here. How's that sound? Okay, everybody see?
Yes.
Cool. And let me also remember to turn off my notifications too. That way if my alarm goes off to clean the cat box, you guys don't have to see it. All right, great, cool. So let me get this video out the way. In fact, I may bury it up there. There we go. Okay, so I did a refresh in the table of contents, and we got some really good sections, right? Stuff on man in the middle and all that. And I think Cindy's comment is there's definitely something to be said about you know, the benefits of edge computing for data locality and privacy. And she had another comment too, which I think was, I don't know where it went, but it was up above regarding multi-tenancy. And I think, yes, I'm just not sure where, like what to be done with those, right? They're good comments, but they're short comments. So I'm letting them sit for now. Okay, so I replied, does anybody know how to pronounce his first name? Is it Jono? Is it Jono? Do you know how to pronounce his first name?
No.
Okay, I'm gonna say Jono until he gets on the call and identify. He had yeah, a lot of material here, which is, I agreed with him. This section on the condition of hardware, as I was writing it out, I really ended up describing more like how condition of hardware should be monitored and so on, rather than the real challenge around it. And he pointed out the last paragraph is really the only place where we get into the challenge. I think I just need to rewrite this, and I'm going to take Jono's comment and then turn it into the rework of the content. So probably good here to put a comment. Let's see, editing mode. And you can see how little I actually comment in my own document because I'm not actually sure how to do this right here. Comment, there we go. Great. Say Kilton will revise this section. Or next review. Great. Okay, so I think that handles that one. Then we get into, okay, so also from Jono here. So I liked his idea. It's really talking about the different ways that you can tamper. I think I even said here, yeah, I asked him, you want to take a shot at directly adding it in, right? Because he's got like basically comments that are full sections. So let's see if he replies to that comment with, you know, with a direct contribution, and that would be an effective way to do that. Okay, this is, I believe, tied to, nope, not authenticity of hardware, to indication of compromise. Is that right? Yes. Under indication of compromise, he said, I think there are two different ideas that can be broken out. First, intrusion detection systems, blah, 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 solutions to the problem of forming trust with a device in operation. Second is that identified as remediation of a compromised device. So since this is under indication of compromise, I actually am going to push back, I think, on him a little with the same kind of comment that he had above. Talking about like remediation of a compromised device kind of gets into what you would do about it. But I do think that there's something in here, not sure what to do yet with this comment, something in here about expanding this section to be better. Maybe I'll just work with him directly on that unless anything jumps out to anybody, right? So if at any point I'm talking here a blue streak and you want to jump in, anybody, and say like, well, hey, why don't we do this? Then just interrupt me. So I think the resolution there is to, I'm going to say, why don't we discuss this a bit more about how to break it out without describing solutions or, yeah, solution approaches. Cool. See what he says to that. Okay. He basically hit us hard in these first sections, then he eases up. All right, let's see. Says supply chain attack is targeting the manufacturer of a device. That is true. I actually thought when I put this in that under authenticity of hardware, it really is, it's not a problem unique to the edge, right? The same thing could happen in the cloud. He gave a couple of links. I definitely want to avoid being too Wikipedia, so not needing to link to everything. What do you guys, I actually would like to take a little opinion on this one. What do you guys think? This is not really a unique challenge of the edge, or do you think it is, and you think this has enough merit to stay in? This idea that somebody could basically sell you hardware with a back door.
So I personally think that you're at that point right. So it's not, let's say, IoT only problem. It also applies somehow to hardware, as of the cloud, for example. So at least I would keep it, but maybe we should shorten it a little bit or address it more explicitly for IoT.
Sounds good. Let me put this as a reply, or did he? Let's see. Can I? Yeah, I can reply. We have agreed to tighten up this section to be more specific around IoT edge scenarios and take into account your comment that this is a general supply chain issue. All right, how's that sound? That's work to be done, but we can do that work. Wait, my cat's chiming in on the work here. We'll see if he contributes anything good. All right, that was that one there. So man in the middle got added, and I liked it. I thought it was good to start having some links in here. The quality of links seemed to be good. And I thought the content was, succinct, but we can also expand on it now that it's in. Any objection to having man in the middle in this section? This is under the trusting hardware. Typically that falls in network a bit more, but sorry, go ahead.
Shouldn't that be in section 3?
Under connected device? Actually, actually, you know what? Since it's related to devices at the edge, you're right, it's under the connected devices and how to trust them, right?
Yes.
Cool. Why don't we just tack this on to the end of the next section? That's a good idea.
Depends on from where you look, right?
What's that? Say it again.
Depends on from where you look. When you take a look from the edge device into the cloud, I would say it's there, like trust the hardware, or if your man in the middle attack tries to attack the cloud server, it's something different than attacking the edge hardware. So I think it's somewhere in between these two chapters. Yeah.
Do you think if we added it under the trusting connected devices at the end here, and then
it would work as well? So yeah.
And change the title maybe a little bit from man in the middle, and so we'll call it, this will be 3.5, right? And if we change it, there we go. And let's say, do you want to call it like device man in the middle? Or
yeah.
device to gateway man in the middle?
Probably, yeah. We
can always edit it again later. Yeah. Therefore, avoiding kind of the, device to cloud, right? Okay, cool. I'll do a refresh real quick on this, make sure it picked up let's try to resolve issues as we go. Let's see, that worked and that worked. Okay, great. Okay, Cool. This is good. This is good progress. Okay, so we're into section 3. Let me collapse this down. How do I collapse it down? Apparently I can't. Okay. Trusting connected devices. So what did we have? Any comments around here? We did. We had, okay, said feel like 2 different points deserve to be addressed separately or at least sequentially. First is forming an identity. And then second, even if it has a unique identity, challenge that if it can be trusted. Oh, fair enough, fair enough. So we said first, verifying devices, detecting corruption. Yeah, I think we could turn it into 2 different sections. Forming a device. Yeah, okay. I'm in kind of an agreement with him here. It's applying an identity to something that doesn't have possibly even any unique identity, right? It's like a really inexpensive temperature sensor or something that's reporting on, LoRaWAN or whatever. And then trusting the unique identity. Yeah. See if we have another comment here. We do. Isn't this a solution? Oh, yes, it actually is. Okay. Templates given is great. Yeah, well, maybe we move that out into a next paper. Or it can be reframed. I think, so then, Bernhard, did you want to talk a little bit more on your comment here? You said, in your opinion, one potential solution is data verification, mentioned partly, move it to 3.2 and partly extend. Care to add any more?
No, nothing to add anymore. It reminds me somehow on data verification. So yeah, at some point he's right. At some point you're right that it should be a dedicated section or subsection.
Yeah. Okay. So what if let's see. I'm thinking, how do we want to add some action to this? If it's under 3.2, protecting data and commands, which also has some comments. So he had said, looking at 3.1.3.2, I would suggest only dealing with the challenge of device identity for 3.1. Use 3.2 to talk about second order challenges. Identity of a device cannot be trusted. Data comes from the device cannot be trusted. Okay, so I think I'm going to say, in a response to this, taking this into account with the comments directly above, we will add more of 3.1, more of the 3.1 content to 3.2, and perhaps expand on 3.1 to be more accurate in its own right. Okay, sounds like some little bit of rework there. This one had a lot around it in commentary. So Moritz, do you want to describe here what your commentary is?
Yes, sure. Yeah, so I think especially for the denial of service things, attacks, since we are at the edge, we can't really control the environment we are on. So the basic problem I wrote down there is that especially connections like Bluetooth, Zigbee, or Wi-Fi, it's actually quite easy to attack these. And as soon as you are in an environment, for example, in urban environment, and your edge device sits in a I don't know, maybe a bike or something like that, you can just walk up there and attack it with whatever you want, and nobody's gonna stop you from that. Just because your environment is so open, I would say. So that's definitely one of the challenges I think I see on the edge, that you can't really control anything around it. And because of that, of course, you can just start attacking the communication channel like Zigbee or Bluetooth with whatever you want, because nobody's going to stop you from that.
Yeah, And in a way, that makes sense then that it really should go under the network challenges, right? Because it's
Yeah,
related to wireless. Because you could do the same thing to Wi-Fi if you had a strong enough set of equipment, right? So,
exactly.
gotcha, gotcha. Okay, well, it looks like you had some good agreement on that too. And so I'm going to put here. Well, why don't we go ahead and move it right now? Is that a good solution to put it down under the network section?
I think I left a comment there as well. Yeah.
In this one or
It's
this?
more up there. I'm not sure. Um, quite a time ago.
All right, all right. Let's see if we can find it here. Um, I don't see that many in here. No, unless it was part of something that I clicked as resolved already, is
Okay.
possible. So if I paste in here um, at the end, there, do we think we can work with this down here? I mean, we can always adjust the order and
Yeah.
stuff. Okay, excellent. And it brought the comments with, which is also fine. So we can read through, and then if we want to make edits, and then resolve them after. Okay, great.
Oh, Google is actually doing that? That's amazing.
I didn't expect it to. I was
Yeah.
happy that it did. I swear the ones that I want to have them stay around, they get erased, and the ones that I think should disappear, they travel. Okay, so that means that we are down to device management becomes the new 3.3, and the man in the middle becomes the new 3.4, which I'll adjust the table of contents again in the middle. So device management didn't seem to have any comments, which is good. And then this is the new that we had already gone in and edited. So any further comments on section 3 as I yet again refresh the table of contents? I think that section got shrunk, but we were planning to expand it as well. So cool. Okay, nothing there. All right. I'd say that operating system was an area where I felt like I needed the most contributions and help, or one of the sections anyway. So let's see what happened here. I put in biosecure boot, running processes binary. There we go. Okay, so well, you made a very significant contribution there. Delete the O. Great, got that. So let's see. So this seems very similar to 3.1. Might be a way to fold these two together. In that we're talking about identities. Okay, so what did I put here? Digital signatures, edge compute nodes, even sensors, effective way to verify the identity, but they require a private key. Yeah, it's something a little more, I'm gonna write that up. There is something a bit different here that I think I didn't explain quite well yet. I'll take another shot to differentiate from, oh, is it 3.1? Okay, cool. Then here, let's see, this point is somewhat addressed in 2.3. Physical access is a general challenge. Yeah, let's say, so here's what I was trying to get to, and maybe you guys have some idea how to do this better. What I was trying to get at is, there are companies making devices or IoT systems and, all these different things where they're using, fixed private keys as the solution for verifying the identity of the edge node. But because those keys are used, in not necessarily coming out of a, trusted memory location and whatnot, in some cases they're just right on disk or in the flash memory, you can get into the device and get the key. And this is really the problem I was trying to address here, is like, it's not so easy to get into the nodes in a cloud or data center environment. And so it's a little bit more, acceptable to have a fixed, key into the OS there. But with the edge nodes, it's you got to think twice about doing that, and I guess that didn't really come through here. That's really the problem. It's a little different than having the identity get masked or spoofed. It's more that the identity, in an operating system, it's probably a straight file, and if you can get access to it, you can probably pose as that edge node and do other things. So. Since that's a
you need TPM modules for?
Yeah, that's exactly the thing is if you do it right, that you have this combined identity, right, in which the separating one unit from the other allows, that can be detected. But if not, then what you end up with is, kind of a false sense of trust that I wanted to have come through. I think that's worthy of note. Let's put a comment in here on this. We should discuss how a fixed private key can be mixed with TPM or other root of trust to avoid, I would call it simple key theft, right? Cool. Great. I think we should discuss that a bit here. If you want to take a whack at adding some of that in, that would be cool. And if not, you can just put more in comments if you'd like. Cool. Okay, let's see here. So we got some stuff added in. Let's see. Okay, systems are black box. Okay. And I think I approved all of the edits here. Cool, so some good stuff in there. So if anyone has an objection to this content, just go ahead and put a comment. Here, I wasn't sure how I ended up with so much in green that I couldn't really check a box to approve. So Bernhard, this is more stuff from you here.
Yes, so basically we have to change the color of the font.
Oh, okay, yeah, right. Okay, gotcha, can do. I will do that now. And oh yeah, it was actually a font color change. Okay, so you had asked how is this related to 4.2 initial setup. Do you have more to say on that?
Not really, because it's slightly different. Because you can, let's say, initialize a OS, for example, in a quite good sense. But then finally you will end up always in, okay, we have to, let's say, update something, and then you're exactly at section 4.5.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So maybe an opportunity could be that we make this as a subsection of 4.2. I think this would be maybe a logical step.
Cool. Because this scenario describes any deviation from the initial, call it, fingerprint, right, of a first setup.
Yep.
Cool. Or let's say initially from the initial fingerprint of the trusted setup. Okay, cool. I think that's good. I think I'd like to merge that up, as this is. It's worth mentioning where you describe getting that initial setup verified, right? How about under logging? Was this your commentary as well here too with the bullet points? Because this was not I think this was not a section that I put in, right? You added all of logging here.
Yes, that's true, because what at least from a cloud perspective, my understanding from security is that you always end up in some sort of also logging issues, because one is, first of all, you have to be notified that something is going on. So I explicitly wanted to have a dedicated logging session. But if it's not, let's say, within the scope of the paper, then just remove it.
Oh, I think it belongs here. How can we? Let's see. So you have a challenge, right? Which is logs have to be protected the same manner as regular data. That is absolutely true. So, and you gave some boundary. I'd like to flesh this out more. I'm not quite sure yet how to do it. But I think you're onto something, which is it does belong here. In the operating system, you know, your logging is, it's a portion of an audit trail. It is the beginning of your ability to identify if things are occurring out of sequence, out of authorization. And if the logs are as editable as, you know, the stolen data, then you might even never know that someone was in there, right?
Yeah, that's exactly the point.
Great. I'm just going to put a note here that we can work on. I'm going to say, let's expand this section. It's great content. And spend some more text describing the difficulties of protecting logs and audit, well, I'll just say logs at the edge. Okay, if that sounds fair, I'm happy to try to jump in on that some as I get a chance here. Cool.
Maybe this could rather be called auditing or audit trail. So that
Yeah.
was confusing me with the logging, because I mean, you're using probably at the edge device the log function to create this audit trail, but you have to do different things, and auditing is sort of other requirements than just logging.
Sure. What if we say audit trail, and I'd like to include the notion of logging in the title, but how about something like, well, we can just call it, you know, audit trail and
Files, maybe?
and what? And file system?
Log files.
Log files, like that?
Yeah, probably.
Cool. I think that's a fair working title. Cool, good call. So that means that also in expanding it, which I think I lost, did I lose my comment? Sometimes you lose them, sometimes you don't. All right, let's add that back in. Okay. And to describe the challenges of protecting log files and auditable, not audible, auditable, is that a thing? And anyway, protecting log files and audit that's not really it. Log files, auditable. There we go. Information at the edge. Cool. Great. That's some good stuff. A lot of value there. Cool. Let's see. And yes, I would love to. Let's see. Logging categories to facilitate multiple workloads, addressing various security challenges. Yes, I think, you know, hopefully if this paper has the right impact, it will actually trigger a lot of deeper discussion. I think it's already starting to trigger some good stuff. Cool. Anything else in this section, or do we have the right actions for the go forward?
No, for me it's fine.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Okay. Another one that I was kind of scared to put out there because I feel like there's, you know, 10 times more information, you know, should be put in here than what's in here. But let's see how it's going. So network concerns, open ports. Now, surprised that one slid by. Great. Okay. Fixed VPNs. What do we got? Okay. So Jono made a comment earlier. Yeah. Encryption in the network section. Okay. These solutions are well known, accepted, solving the issue, preventing vulnerabilities of data in transit. Table stakes for deploying. To do real challenges actually around identity or potential of identity be stolen via physical access, right? And that's covered earlier. Well, let's see. Yes, there was a little bit more. I might reply to his comment here with a little bit of pushback. There was a little bit more that I was trying to get across here, and maybe I should have written more. So there's an inherent risk to having fixed VPNs that are a little bit different about the edge than they are with kind of like facilities integration. If you have a vehicle with a VPN that allows it to share data with the data center or the warehouse facility or something, you don't normally have your private assets that are connected via VPN out moving around. This is a newer thing. So the opportunity for getting access to the compute hardware in a vehicle is much greater than your ability to get access to that inside of a network or a factory or whatever. So I thought it was worth mentioning that if I'm able to connect to the compute node in the vehicle, possibly just by tapping into it with a keyboard and mouse, then or an SSH connection, I'm not sure what, but if you can get in, then you actually are in some cases present in the warehouse system, right, or the data center system. And you don't normally think of VPNs as being a problem that way, but you kind of have nodes out in the world that are permanently connected and contain some privileged information. So that was my notion here. What do you guys think? I mean, I'm also happy to take it out or merge it in with stuff if you guys don't see value in this as a standalone section.
Yeah, normally from a cloudish perspective, you always have some sort of fixed VPNs, but the IPs change dynamically at that sense. And you normally, let's say, change your IP within a dedicated range to ensure, let's say, a minimum thing of security. So, well, from my perspective, I'm quite neutral to fixed VPNs section.
Okay. Go ahead.
I think I would leave it in because it's a valid point. So we are using VPNs at some places, and to just give a reminder that there's a security challenge connected to that, I think is worth that section.
Okay, excellent. So I think what I'll do here is I'll reply to the comment and say I will revise this section a bit to include your comment concerns, but we have decided to keep this section in place. I will see if I can also expand it a bit to describe particular security challenge at the edge that I was aiming to explain. Great, cool. All right, that takes care of that one. All right, network access is data access. So feel free to disagree. And I take as that access credentials essentially different implementation of secure identities. My suggestion would be incorporate all the different solutions around identity in a single section. Okay, that's a pretty big change. And then Bernhard, you said let's move it to section 6X. Could you tell me what you were thinking with that? And I think, that was regarding this one, Edge microservices.
Yeah, but it's just a question of favor, because normally, yeah, if you want, we can keep it in 5. If you want from the other perspective, since normally you have a lot of microservices and streams and so on, it probably makes sense to put it to the microservice section, which reflect at that point some higher applications that are running on the edge node.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a basic idea.
Gotcha. Yeah, because it really is talking about all about microservices sending out data that's unexpected and so on. I think let's do it. Let's put this under the microservices section here, and let's try that. All right, 6.7 and back up here. Then we now have 5.4 and so on. Cool. That's where we put that denial of things. Okay, great. Yeah, that got enhanced quite a bit. Okay, so back to the network access and data access. You know, I was a little worried when I put this in that it was almost like an opinion paper here in this section, which is so much more than just a situation at the edge. And I toyed with the idea of not putting it at all because the point I was trying to make is that you know, we like to create computer networks and put devices on in order to you know, allow for all different types of interconnections. But because of that, it means that, you know, you have devices on a LAN of which they maybe use 1 or 2 services, but the rest are there. And maybe you don't have the access credentials. So if you segment things properly, it's probably okay. The point I was trying to make is that do we really need to, you know, take an IoT gateway that is on a remote piece of equipment and really make it part of you know, a true computer network, or would we rather be in some way connecting the data coming off of it, you know, where it's a privatized channel, or it's a you know, a data pathway that doesn't necessarily allow any kind of port scanning and stuff that you typically do if you get onto a network and see what's there as a, you know, as an intruder. But I really tossed out a lot here, and I kind of get it that Jono was saying. I'm not sure really that you know, this is necessarily the any different than protecting identities and stuff. But so I'm kind of open as to what we do with this. Did anybody think that this section made sense, or was it just kind of like a bad brain dump from me? Or did anybody?
At some sort, it makes sense because, for example, what I usually do is when I verify, for example, streaming systems, and in that sense, IoT is a streaming system, I usually open a telnet session and grab the data and see if the data is coming in, or submit via telnet steering command. So at that point, it makes sense because I need access to the network, and yeah.
Okay, so it sounds like there really is something around this that that needs to be described. Any idea how to improve this this section? It's definitely not clear enough that I'm willing to defend it as it stands.
That's now the golden question. Yeah, maybe it will take. I will think about that. Let's put it like that.
Okay, great. I'm just, you feel free to you know, reject the responsibility later, but it is going to think a bit about how to improve this section. Great. And then we'll just check in with you, or you can feel free to reply, hey, I don't know what to do, forget about it. And then we can see what to do next.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, thanks. Let's see, identity for verification of control plane. So, okay, so this important consideration, arguably one of the easier ones. Oh yeah, totally. If on the other hand, the control plane lives on the edge as well, then it's susceptible to the same problems, right? That's actually a good idea. Let's add some material regarding the specific challenge of having the control plane also instantiated on the edge, and therefore subject to the same challenge as the node, edge compute node. And then let's see. Would you care to take a shot at adding content that content here. Okay. Great. Let's see if he replies there. All right, so then this is the comments that came with us for denial of things. So I think that's, we've already got some good material here, and we can review. And I see that doing a time check, we're gonna get down just to the wire here on finishing this out as a working session. Let's see, we had, is this more of the green that we just need to change the color?
Yes.
Okay, and it was stuff that you added?
Yes.
Okay, great. Anything that you'd like to say on it? Otherwise, I'm happy to integrate with the proper color.
No, it's just let's say improvement of the section. Nothing special added.
Excellent. Well, I liked it when I read it, so excellent. Great, thank you. I think we'll do like that. Great, cool. Let's see, great. Yeah, so I'm happy to integrate all of these. So yeah, thanks for the edits. Unauthorized microservices, least required privileges. Yes, that's right. And I would say totally true. Controlled access, so great. We'll get to that comment in a section. To avoid multiple ways to compete against hosts. Furthermore, encourage that the consumed are proactively monitored. Yes. Cool, good stuff. Okay, so we get down to guaranteed remote shutdown, and you had said, so logs and data important for security. Shouldn't be logs, stateless logs anyway, e.g. Can you explain a little bit more about what you meant there? I read that and I didn't quite understand what you were requesting yet.
Yes, what I had in mind when I read this is during guaranteed remote shutdown, so there are now potentially two, let's say, schools of logging. The first one has this classical approach where you have a dedicated log file, and the other one, which is arising through the area of big data, was that, okay, we use the log file basically as a Kafka or MQTT stream. So I think in the sense of IoT, it should be more or less a data stream and not a file in that sense. But please correct me if I'm wrong.
I actually didn't hear the last 10 seconds because my internet connection wasn't so good. I just heard you say, correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay. So
yeah.
The point here is in the scope of this paper, and this means IoT, I think the log data is more or less streamed to a, let's say, centralized point, and this implies that the log files are stateless in that sense, that there is no dedicated log file at the edge. But this is just my impression that that's the reason why I've made it as a command with a question.
Gotcha. I think the presence of stored log files at the edge, and perhaps even data used for data and logs used for audit trail or used for analysis. I think this is something we are going to have to contend with, and therefore perhaps wanting to clear these out. So they can't be accessed if you detect intrusion or you want to decommission a piece of edge hardware. So I think in the case that you've described, where they're being transmitted for centralized logging, then yeah, definitely we don't have that issue, right? It's the system of record is the receiver, right? And when it's upon receipt, if you trusted it, then it's all good. Yeah. So I think I'm gonna say here, we should probably add a bit of content regarding the difference between sending logs as a stream to a centralized recipient versus between and retaining logs edge. Cool. So probably a bit more commentary or content would probably not only answer the question, but help anyone else who is reading, I think. And yeah, okay, great. All right, matching microservices to edge hardware, that seemed to work out okay. And then this one was, I'm going to mark this as resolved because we moved it to 6x. Great. Okay, we have a very full 7 minutes left. Does anybody have anything additional after this kind of whirlwind working session that you'd like to add in, put in place, edit? There's still plenty more work to be done, but I think this is good progress.
Just a question, when do we plan to publish the paper?
Yeah, we were saying we could publish it today, but I think it's pretty clear that we're not quite ready for that. When do we want to publish it? I think KubeCon's in a couple weeks. It would be really great to have it done by then.
Okay, then I'll write for yeah, KubeCon as a preliminary release date.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. Cool. I'd say we've said for a couple working sessions now that working group meetings now that we'd like to wrap it up by the next one. But I think in this case, not only have we been faster than most of these working group white papers, but also we have kind of a hard deadline that it's arbitrary, but I think it makes a lot of sense. Okay. I can definitely contribute some more time to getting this ready by KubeCon. We'll at that point put in a third status for whatever date that lands on and say first release version. So if anybody wants to grab any certain sections and take the work on, maybe just put your name on it with a comment like, hey, I'm going to work this section, or I'll try this or that. I definitely don't need it to be like a task queue. Anywhere where I put, a direct comment like I will or this or that, I intend to go and do that work. But this has been really great so far. I'm really happy with the contributions and the outcome. Cool. All right. Well, with that, I will stop sharing my screen and stop talking. So, Dayan, it's back to you. I think this was really cool.
Yeah, this was really great. Yeah. So I think we can wrap up with this, right? So let's continue on the Slack and the mailing list until the next meeting. Or if you guys don't have any other topics for today. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Cool.
So maybe Dejan, one question for the agenda of upcoming meetings. Would it make sense to, or do we still have these sort of presentations of different parties about Edge IoT challenges or approaches or whatever?
Absolutely. So, the topics are open. So wherever we have something, yeah.
So would it make sense maybe in one of the next meetings to present our current status and the things that we have investigated, especially the things regarding this network awareness in scheduling?
So yeah, also one of the things, I think that the next meeting will overlap with the KubeCon EU. So I don't know how much people will actually attend. So maybe that's something I can, start the discussion on the Slack and see if we should reschedule something around it. But
okay.
But for the topic, yes, absolutely.
So maybe I would suggest, since Srinath, a colleague of mine, will be there, you will be also there at the KubeCon? Yeah, okay. So maybe you can discuss a little bit and he can share some ideas with you, and then let's put it after the KubeCon on one of the meetings.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks.
Yeah. Despite I will not be able to attend to KubeCon, I have to admit.
Yeah. Well, we'll share the recordings, but I think the value of the conference is always more in networking and hallway conversations and yeah, things like that.
Yeah, sure.
Hopefully we'll find more opportunity in the future to, you know, get around and work closer. Yeah. Okay, great. Thanks everybody, and thanks Kilton for diving this. This was a very productive session.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you to everybody for contributing. This is I'm really impressed with the solid contributions. It's great.
Okay, see you online. Take care.
Bye. Have a good one.
Goodbye.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.